So good morning, everybody. A lot happened over the weekend. We had Russia take over Ukrainian ships. We had France protesting in yellow vests against gas tax. And Americans are stupid during the midterm elections. I should say Californians in particular are stupid. They had a chance to repeal the gas tax and they voted against it. So they like to be taxed in California. And the dummies that don't like the fact that they have no money don't realize that they support taxes which suck money out of their pockets. So how can you support Democrats and then be upset about it? One day the world will wake up, but then what do? They move to other states, and you've heard me cover it before. Another thing that happened this weekend, we had the borders rushed. And so far they failed. Now, I have a suspicion about how the military is being used on the border, but I don't want to mention it because I don't want to create problems for President Trump and our country, because I know the leftists will use that against him. So I will mention it in the future if it comes out to be true, what I believe is happening with our military. I will remind everyone of this post, to watch the first couple minutes of this post so that they'll know that I suspected that was going on, and I will verify it when it happens, but I will not telegraph it to our enemies who live within our country and who may not even live in our country, may live in South America. Mexico is starting to see the communism of South America and how it is messing us all up. And I believe that Russia is involved, but I'm not sure if Putin is involved with what's going on in the caravans. We do have those Red Star tanks, and I haven't been able to verify where those tanks are, if they are there, and if they are Russian. But I suspect that if that's the case, if they are in Mexico, they are Russian tanks, they are communist Russian tanks, and they are possibly deep state Russia elements. Because I don't believe Putin is supporting this caravan, but it is possible that he could be a traitor to the U.S., and he is not a friend of the U.S. I don't think so. I think he's I see Putin as more of a capitalist and not a global capitalist like the communists are. Because communism is global capitalism, but it's the final global capitalism where it's crony capitalism, where there are a few in the world that control all the resources, and they control all the countries, and they command everything. They centrally plan how the world is going to function, and they command how economies are supposed to be run, and they do it through the central banking system. And I don't believe Putin is part of that because he doesn't like the central banks of the world. And Russia is one of the few countries that does not have a central bank as that's part of the global system like the United States does and the rest of the world does, who's on the SWIFT system. Iran is another one. North Korea was another one, but somehow I think that they will start to conform with the rest of the world system. And I believe that President Trump is trying to, he may not be destroying the Federal Reserve, but he is controlling it with his appointed Fed chairman, and he's not really telegraphing that. I just telegraphed that to the enemy, unfortunately, and but I don't think they're paying attention to me because I'm too small. I'm a small fry right now, and I think eventually people will see my videos and they'll realize all the things that I've been saying all these past years. But by then, most of it will be done, and that's not why I do it. I do it so that you guys can get aware of what's going on. And those few who follow me will kind of be ahead of a curve, or at least be on the curve when it's happening, and the rest of the world will be behind it. So I don't want you guys to be behind it. I want you guys to be on the curve because it benefits me. Whether I get advertisement revenue from YouTube or viewership from YouTube is irrelevant. It benefits me when my society is educated and is alert and vigilant and remains free. They help to protect my freedoms by protecting their own, and they help to keep the economy going. So back to what's going on in Mexico first. Mexico and partially because I don't really know yet fully where I stand on the France issue or where I stand on the Russia-Ukraine issue. Let me go back to Europe first, because I think that's the one where I have at least a viewpoint, but it's not a complete one as much as I have on Mexico. I believe Europe's falling apart because it's a centrally planned new form of the USSR. You have the European Union, which is basically run by Angela Merkel, however they pronounce it in Germany, and she is the chairman of the board, basically. She is the head of the premier of the communist European government or governance, where she's telling all these other nations that they need to submit their sovereignty or their independence, their freedom, to the European Union in order for the European Union to function. And we're seeing that many of the European nations don't want to do that, because by submitting your sovereignty and your individuality, you lose your identity. You will be part of these borderless people that don't like identity. They don't like individual identity. They want a collective. They want everyone the same, like robots. They want you all in your gray uniform with no features, and you all look alike. You're NPCs, basically. You're non-playable characters. You're pre-programmed to do what the planners have planned for you. And if you like communism, that's how stupid you are. And you probably belong in communism because you don't have a brain to think for yourself. You're not creative enough to find solutions for your problems. You would rather have someone else plan out your future. And then you feel disenfranchised and angry that you don't have wealth and you don't have all the benefits that all the freedom-loving people have. But your dumbass supported communism and was placed in it and is now under the control of it, and you seem to like that. Well, many of the countries in Europe don't like that. Poland doesn't like it. Hungary doesn't like it. The Ukraine doesn't seem to like it. France is starting to go against it because of Macron, the moron, who has allowed all these refugees to come in and has instituted a lot of socialist policies. And when President Trump was visiting Europe, before the Arc de Triomphe, which is a statement of independence and victory, and nationalism, he basically said nationalism is a racist and a selfish ideal, that we should all be open to the world. And his popularity is going in the toilet, and you're seeing how the people are responding to him. The UK, same problem with Brexit. The people are upset. They want out of the European Union. So I think the European Union is falling apart. And so let me follow up with, before I go back to Mexico, let me go back to some of my investment stuff, because ideas keep popping into my head because I'm a capitalist. So I'm a free thinker. And so I want to cover things so that you guys can kind of understand my philosophy fully. If you subscribe to it, great. If you don't, great also. I don't care. If you don't subscribe to it, keep it to yourself and get on. And don't blame me if you decide to follow some of the stuff and you lose money, because it's all about timing. My timing so far has been exceptional in a lot of ways with the markets and with some of my other actions outside of the markets. But today, the stock market is rallying. And like I said, things have not improved. We had a lot of drama. Back in 2008, August 8, 2008, the Russians rolled into Georgia, and the stock market plummeted. Everything plummeted. It set off a lot of the derivatives implosions, whatever you want to say, that became systemic and created the financial crisis. Well, didn't create the financial crisis, were a major contributor to it. The one who created the financial crisis to me was Bill Clinton, who repealed Glass-Steagall Act. I'm going to go over it again. He repealed the Glass-Steagall Act in an act of communism, in an act of tearing down borders, because Glass-Steagall created borders between investment banks, or investment houses, I should say, that created investments and dealt with the stock market. It tore down the border between that and the institutional banks, which only lent money and, was about depositing money into the banks and paying it out paying out interest for depositors' savings, and insurance companies. By Bill Clinton repealing Glass-Steagall, you form these huge conglomerates, these globalism conglomerates. In fact, Citibank is under investigation right now, but Citigroup was one of the main conglomerates that formed under Sandy Weill back in those days, and they were able to combine Transamerica Insurance, Citibank, and Solomon Smith Barney, which was a investment house. And you'll have this network marketing group called Primerica, which was also came as part of that, which network marketing, I think, was born at that time because it was a new process of you didn't have to form your own business. You could be a distributor for other businesses, and instead of businesses having employees that they had to pay, they would just pay out these independent contractors to distribute their products and goods and services, and they would gain a commission from it by introducing new customers to the businesses. And this also created a cover for Ponzi schemes, because now network marketing functions in a similar way to Ponzi schemes. I like the network marketing concept. I don't like Ponzi schemes, and you don't know the difference until you get caught in it. And we saw that with the new cryptocurrencies, where you have BitConnect. BitConnect was a Ponzi scheme where you refer people, you get commissions on their trades and on their purchases of the Bitcoin and blah blah blah, this and that, and BitConnect and da 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 da. And look, it turned out to be a Ponzi scheme. So Bill Clinton created a lot of these Ponzi schemes, and he also made it possible for these conglomerates to create derivatives that really caused the financial crisis. So that's the Democrats doing that, not the Republicans. They always paint Republicans as evil, money-hungry, racist, blah, blah, blah. And it's everything the Democrats are. And we have all the evidence now on record that they've created all the turmoil for you people. So if you're still a Democrat, you're still a communist, you are part of the problem. You're not educating yourself. Many of these derivatives did not exist before Bill Clinton's era. So what's going on today? You've got derivative exposure. So Russia is going into Ukraine. Let me go back. I go on all these tangents, and hopefully you can follow me, but I'm trying to connect it all, and eventually it should all make sense to you guys. But back in 2008, Russia went into Georgia, and it triggered the derivatives to collapse. We have the same kind of derivative problem today, but yet today we don't have the same reaction. What's going on, right? Russia went into the Ukraine waters. Well, actually, Ukraine went into Russian waters after Russia stole Crimea from the Ukraine. And the Russians attacked their ships and boarded them and confiscated them. And Ukraine is in martial law right now because they have Russians that live there, Russian natives that live in the Ukraine, and they don't want anyone out in the streets. They don't want anyone on the internet. They don't want anyone on the telephone communicating with each other. So Ukraine is locked down because they're ready for war. Now we're trying to figure out who started it. Is it the Russians that started this? Is it the Ukrainians who started it? But in the end, I believe it's the deep state, because look at the timing. Russia has a deep state. The United States has a deep state. The timing happened the same time as the borders were being rushed. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. I think that the deep state is in big trouble because supposedly December 5th, these indictments are supposed to come out from FISA, where they were illegally surveilling President Trump when he was not president. He was a regular U.S. citizen like all of us, which is illegal, and they had no grounds to do it. They were wiretapping, and they were also paying for these documents where they could frame President Trump for Russian collusion, which didn't happen. Instead, the Democrats were colluding with the Russians, and we've got videos of that on YouTube where you can see them giving uranium to Russia and all kinds of stuff that they're fake dealings where they make money through the Clinton Global Initiative against it's the Clintons again, through the Clinton Global Initiative. So we're going to see a lot of that go down on December 5th. So right now the stock market is rallying, and I'm wondering why. The dollar is up, oil is down, we've got all this chaos around the world. Everything is negative for the stock market, yet it's rallying today. So whenever I say that, nothing's changed, My long-term view is negative on the markets. I use the rallies to short. I would use this period of time to short the markets, especially on a good rally like today. And most likely by the end of either the end of the day or the end of the week, we're going to have another sell-off, because most people won't want to hold stocks over the weekend unless we see a market improvement in things, and I just don't see that happening. I mean, if the world improved greatly, where everything was peaceful, that could make the markets positive. If all of a sudden people, got jobs and all of these new businesses started, I could see that as a market improvement, and credit quality improved because people were able to pay off their debts. That would be an improvement, but I don't see that happening either. So I am still negative on the markets, and I recommend that you stay that way as well. Back to Mexico, we're seeing, this week should be interesting because they've got El Chapo on trial, and he's been squealing on everybody. He's been letting everyone know that the presidents in the past, before he got caught, were under his payroll. Like Nieto, the current president, Peña Nieto, was under the cartel's payroll. So Nieto is hiding right now because he's been helping the caravan, and the caravan's been bringing in rival gangs to the cartels. And this has been a big problem for Mexico. The Mexican people are starting to see their government don't support them. So the Mexicans are seeing how socialist communism is failing them and has been inside their government all along. And the influence from South American socialism has been in there. I recently did a video on yesterday on Sunday, about how communism has infected the Catholic Church and screwed that all up. Communism has infected the world, and we're seeing it. It's a good thing. Trump is revealing it to the world. He's found ways for everyone to see how communism fails its people and fails the world, and that we're setting up to open borders and fail also. Do not open your borders. Stop opening your borders. Begin to be nationalists. Realize that there is a power in being an individual, and there's imagination in being an individual. Mark Levin had a good interview with a gentleman that I posted. I forgot his name. I follow him a lot, but I don't usually refer to him. But he talked about how Google will be no more. In the future, there won't be a Google because it's very communist, very planned, and very controlling on the world and on information. And we're heading towards a decentralized world, which I believe is true. We're heading towards decentralization. Everybody is seeing it. They don't like central planning. They don't like central authority. Everyone likes to have their own decision-making and individuality. And so many of these centralized information companies that are doing themselves a disservice by being communist, they will be out of business because people don't like control and censorship over their thoughts and their actions and their expressions. And so YouTube, Google, all these businesses that do this kind of stuff, they're big time now. But by doing this, they're doing themselves in. They need to let people be free, express themselves, be individuals, not collective. And you're going to see the death of socialism worldwide. I believe it. Right now, you're seeing it. This is the battle we're having right now. And socialism, to me, it goes back to my religion. Socialism is the devil in disguise. The devil works through government, gets you to deny God, gets you to deny yourself, your own sovereignty. He tries to enslave you, and he tricks you into believing that he's only out for your benefit. Go back to the Garden of Eden. God doesn't want you to take from that tree because he knows you'll be smart if you take from that tree. And so people tear down the border to the tree, and they go and they take what does not belong to them in order to get the benefits that they didn't earn and that God did not give to them. So they're taking what does not belong to them before their time, and they break the contract, the covenants with God. And this is why you see such turmoil in the world today. And I believe that people are coming back to God. They're reconciling. They're realizing they're losing themselves by listening to this whispering devil that has such noble speech, but yet the outcome is so bad for them. Their lives are poverty, and they're realizing that the people who claim to be poor are actually wealthier than them. You look at this caravan, the woman who criticized the Mexican food ends up having painted nails, has all these designer shoes and handbags back in Honduras. She's got videos all over the place, and yet she's coming to America for a better life? No, she's coming for the Ponzi scheme, where she can make a benefit as a new member of the United States off of the hard labor and work of the people before. And that is such garbage until the end, till there's no more money, and then everybody's left holding the bag. The Ponzi scheme would be the United States, unless we get a hold of our borders and we get a hold of our country. All right, that was a lot of blabbing. This was a very random talk. I just wanted to get a video out and have you guys do some research for yourselves. You know, Hillary Clinton's in trouble. They found new emails. So I have a feeling she's going to be indicted, and the new Attorney General will do it. The acting Attorney General, I should say, because there hasn't been a new one appointed yet. And Trump has this new one standing in the place of Jeff Sessions. So this is going to be an interesting time. December 5th is the date. So let's see what happens, and let's watch this week. And that's where I stand. That's how I see it. I love you guys. Please like, subscribe, and follow, and most importantly, share. Take care.